Aloha, kakahiaka, and good morning to you. Welcome to Haleiwa Town. This is a classic event with a lot on the line. The final stop of the Challenger Series. Early in the morning, even felt cold this morning waking up, and we are happy to see the swell continue to pulse at this large, high-performance, big-wave venue that has hosted so many legends of the past, like Barton Lynch sitting alongside me, 88 world champ, also an 88 Haleiwa champ as well. And Shannon Hughes, you've been watching this Challenger Series so closely, and a very short season, and it's all coming down to this. How good does that feel?
It's so exciting that we finally get to see who's going to be on tour next year.
And also looking at everything, all the threats and big waves, all the new names that have never surfed out here before with a lot on the line, BL. I'm sure that's bringing memories to you going back to your first trip to the North Shore.
Yeah, back in 1981 that was, and it's one of those places that for every surfer, this is where you want to make it. This is where you want to succeed, and if you haven't succeeded or had success in Hawaii, there's always those question marks. So the opportunity for a lot of these young kids to get rid of those question marks today.
Well, it's interesting too, diving into our Sambazon Dawn Patrol. Before we got on air, we're talking about who looks great. Have they warmed up? Do they know which boards to ride out there? And as we know, we already have qualified Brisa Hennessy, Gabrielle O'Brien. We're down to 4 spots, and the surfers that are outside the cut line have a ton of experience at Haleiwa, Shannon.
Oh, there are some surfers with a crazy amount. I mean, you got like Luana Silva, you got Coco Ho, and Betty Lou Sakura Johnson on the women's side that all surf here on the regular. This is their home break. They know it better than anyone, especially some of the women like an India Robinson, who's here for the very first time on the North Shore.
So many great stories. Let's see what we have on tap for the opening day of the event. We'll say a big good morning to Kaipo Guerrero and former top 10 in the world, Marty Thomas.
Thank you, Joe. Aloha kakahiaka. Good morning, and how good is it to be back in Hawaii? Marty, I'm happy. What about you? What are we going to do today?
Oh, we're stoked. The wave's firing day one of the event, and it's 8 to 10 foot. Very consistent. We're going to run men's all day. We're going to start off with the round of 80, heats 1 through 8. And then we're going to go into round number 2, round of 64, heats 1 through 8. So full day of competition, 16 heats, 30-minute heats, surf's pumping. It's going to be a great day one.
Full day of competition. And Marty, we've had an abbreviated Challenger Series. We went through Huntington Beach, Portugal, France, finishing off in a very traditional way in Hawaii. You got to make it in Hawaii to make the tour. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's right, Kaipo. I mean, this is the proving grounds for the sport. There's only one spot secured on the men's side, and so there's 11 spots up for grabs, and it's all going to come down here. There's 80 competitors, and we've seen it in the past, like Dusty Payne that one year came from number 90th to qualify. So anyone in this field can win this event and qualify for next year's CT.
And that's what makes it exciting, Joe. Back to you.
Oh, it's so true. Thanks so much, Kaipo. And I love when Marty makes that quick call. He knows what's right in front of him, and saying 8 to 10 Haleiwa. You just saying that. You know what goes with those types of conditions. Barton, we talk about how dangerous this wave can be with that current, how fit you have to be to manage yourself with your lineups on a day like today.
The current is extraordinarily strong. It just rips through the break, and you can't stop paddling. And if you stop paddling, you will instantly just start moving out of position. And so it's a cat and mouse game out there, not only with your opponents, but with the lineup itself. And we expected it to drop a little bit overnight, but it's actually picked up. And it's a little bit bigger than this morning than it was yesterday, so good signs for the day.
And really cool also, Kaipo was mentioning with Marty how they actually have shrunk the field a bit. We've had, a very short Challenger Series season. Used to be round of 96 for the men, now round of 80. So you also had to qualify to be at this event. It really just to focus on the surfers that do have a shot with a win to be on the championship tour next year.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even on the women's side, it's shrunk down to 48 women in the draw and 4 spots left, right? Because we've already got 2 women qualified, 4 spots going on the women's side. It's going to be so exciting to see, and so well done to those surfers for just making the cut to be able to be present here at Haleiwa and battle it out for that qualification spot.
Well, this big high-performance venue is showing its teeth. First thing in the morning, it's going to be all for the men today. We'll take a quick break. Much more to come on the Sambazon Morning Report. We'll be right back. This is the Sambazon Dawn Patrol report here at the Haleiwa Challenger. The waves are firing, it is on, and we were greeted and welcomed with a very special blessing from the local Hawaiians. Big thanks to the coordinator, Malia Ka'aihue, a PhD, getting the blessing organized, also a cultural practitioner, Liana Wong. Blessing the surfers. Thankful for the waves and the protection. And it's so beautiful to experience this at every WSL venue around the world, honoring the locals, perpetuating the Hawaiian culture and the language. And it just gives you goosebumps every morning before you start a major event like this to be greeted so well by the native Hawaiians. Joe Turpel, Barton Lynch, 88 world champion, Shannon Hughes here on the Sambazon Dawn Patrol report. Just gives you that extra special feeling of being in Hawaii. I mean, Barton, you live here now. It really means a lot for you to spend time with the locals, learn more about the culture, and it's really fun to start the day like we did this morning.
Always, and you know, connecting with that ancient wisdom and connecting us, the modern human, to our roots, to our past, to our ancestors, I think is just so important to keep us grounded, and you know, to have that blessing for the event means so much.
Now, Shannon, hard task at hand. We've got the cut line coming up here for the women's rankings. How are you seeing it play out? Who do you think might be a spoiler player in this event, knocking someone out of qualification as we take a look?
Well, it's pretty wild thinking about the fact that Carissa Moore is in the draw, but taking a look at those, you know, those last few names that could be making the cut, we're going to see 6 women on. We've got Coco Ho, Luana Silva, who are in that 7 and 8 position that know this break so well, up against a girl like an India Robinson, who's in that number 4 position, currently in that qualification spot, but it's her very first time on the North Shore. So she's been putting in some hours, but she's got some time to learn this spot.
That cut is just so ominous. The big names popping out for me, a couple local girls, Luana Silva, and then you can't get past thinking about a girl named Betty Lou Sakura Johnson, who we've seen compete against the world best as a wild card on the main stage. This is her home break. This is where she learned how to surf. It's all coming down to this part.
And you can see it in the aggressive surfing that she does, so powerful all the time, and just those driving carves out of the top. And you know, we talk about it all the time here in Hawaii, but local knowledge plays a bigger part here than perhaps anywhere else.
And it's pretty special when you're always getting comparisons and maybe having to wear that big weight of being the next anyone, because you're yourself, but oftentimes compared to Carissa Moore. I mean, to even say that in one breath, you know, Betty Lou's handling that with a lot of maturity and staying calm in her headspace, Shannon.
Oh, she really is. She's got all the grace to carry her through that. She's got the great mentorship of, you know, the locals here on the North Shore that have trained her up well to know this wave so well. And to think that maybe we'll see a matchup between Carissa and Betty Lou right here at Haleiwa this week.
Carissa Moore is in the draw. I mean, I don't know if a year could get any better for one of the all-time greats. A 5-time world champ, winning the WSL finals, winning the Olympic gold. And she has been maybe unstoppable at Haleiwa as far as free surfs go. BL, I don't know if anyone surfs the way better than she does.
Absolutely, and I've seen her up at Sunset a lot already this winter, and when you transfer from Sunset, which is sort of a deep ocean, deep water type of wave, down here, it feels more high performance, and that's what we see in her surfing, because she spends that time at all these other breaks. Look at this amazing mural.
So beautiful. She's just riding this high of maybe the best year of her life. If you go to downtown Honolulu, you'll see this on the corner of South King Street and Pensacola. There's a beautiful artist, Kamea Hadar, who spent over a month to create this mural that is about 12 stories high. You can't miss it. Wow. Carissa's so honored, one, to be on there for Hawaii, to be next to the great Duke Kahanamoku, 2 Hawaiian gold medalists. And Carissa still going to be feeding off that. Will we see another huge win to come her way in a year that's been nothing short of remarkable? Much more to come on the Sambazon Dawn Patrol report. Waves are firing. All about the men all day today, and we'll break down the cut line on the Challenger Series rankings right after this. You are watching the Samazon Dawn Patrol here on opening day of the Haleiwa Challenger, where we're setting our qualifiers for next season. On the championship tour, remember, we already have Gabriella Bryan, Brisa Hennessy qualified, along with Ezekiel Lau, who already had a huge victory at Portugal. He's here to play spoiler once again. He still feels like he's not finished, but a lot more to talk about because it's top 12 this year to qualify. And we also made that change. There's petitions out there by the surfers that wanted to see double qualifier rule change completely, and their voices were heard. Now it's going to be a bigger list of qualifiers and hopefully a bigger rookie class for next season, Barton. Probably a great decision there.
Yeah, so the CT qualifiers, and you see that next to Kanoa's name there, for example. Those guys double qualify, so it goes beyond there. And some great names there. Ezekiel Lau, who you said is already qualified.
And Jake Marshall came close a couple of years ago. He's in a great spot to clinch here at Haleiwa, and there's that cut line. So moving past 12, which is great to see. Fioravanti has a CT requalification, so that'll go down to Samuel Pupo and makes things excited for former world junior champ Lucas Silveira as well, Shannon.
Oh, he's so close to qualification. I mean, right here, right now, so many names on this list, a heat or two, and they could be on the championship tour for next year.
And it's when you look at the numbers, with a win being 10,000 points, like Marty was saying this morning, reminiscing about the Dusty Payne era, where someone you might not be looking on that top page could come out of nowhere and end up on top of the podium and see themselves as a rookie in 2022.
Absolutely. So it extends beyond that cut line. But for me, the pressure's all about those four people either side of that cut line. You know, the guys in who are got everything to lose and fall out, and the people who are on the other side have got everything to gain.
Well, Shannon, it's always big news when you get the heat draw and the GOAT. Well, it doesn't say GOAT on there, but it's Kelly.
Why not?
11-time world champ is in the draw, 49 years of age, and he has a really special relationship with Haleiwa. Even though he hasn't won the event here, he surfs here all the time.
Oh, it's the one, you know, kind of diamond, the trophy that he's been hunting for his entire career. So many of his good friends have won here at Haleiwa, and it's just been outside of his grasp. But we've seen some incredible surfing from him back in 2019. Remember that here at Haleiwa. He took off prone on that wave. He was chasing a 6.5. He ended up with a 7, waiting for the score on the shoreline, and just pulled, you know, something out that we expected him to be able to do, but also there's so much pressure on in these situations. So for Kelly Slater to have that opportunity to win at Haleiwa, I'm very excited to see him in the draw.
I suppose, BL, it was always a story. You mentioned before, Kelly Pipe. That was just always the focus.
Yeah.
But it feels like at this part of his life, it's kind of the underground favorite for a lot of his close friends to come here on a bombing swell and test boards, test equipment, test their metal when it gets nice and challenging as well.
Yeah, it's always had that reputation as the place. I know as a young Australian, when we first came here, you would surf Sunset until it lost it, around that 12 to 15 foot, and then you come to Haleiwa and surf it for a while before it lost it, and then you would go to Waimea Bay. So it's been one of those places that people love to come, and that high performance nature of it, although it is super heavy, and to get caught inside out there can be a very dangerous situation, but generally speaking, it's all about hot dog, high performance surfing, and I think that's a kind of a nice thing to have on the North Shore.
And always a great opportunity when Kelly's going to put the jersey on and compete against all the best in the world here in the Challenger Series. Speaking of the best, also John Florence, a local boy who got injured early in the year after winning Pipeline, had to give away the world title once again, but he's back in fine form. And Shannon, those free surfs almost scare you because he's not holding back.
Well, I mean, they have to scare you. It's the 2-time world champion. He is the North Shore local. When John is in form, when he's, you know, not sitting in that injury position, if he's feeling healthy and feeling ready to surf, he is going to be the person to beat out here this week.
Pretty crazy when you think back to his win 2016, just how he can get scores. One turn, one section. You can never doubt John Florence, and he feels like he's kind of feeling that energy again, and he's ready to reign. I wouldn't be surprised if he backed up his title from 2016.
Well, fit John Florence is unbeatable in Hawaii, isn't he, really? Whether you go from Pipeline to Haleiwa or to the Eddie Aikau at Waimea Bay, he's a fit John, which we've got right now, is one of the most exciting prospects in the sport all round. And it means that it keeps the Italo Ferreira and Gabriel Medinas of this world honest, because there's a third person in that kind of top echelon, and that's John, and we get to see him this week.
And I suppose he's kind of gained this this mystique a bit about him. You know, a bit of Curran where he's almost a little elusive behind the scenes. He likes just having his calm time. People try to chase him down on the beach after a free surf, so he's dealing with a lot of attention. But I think he's found a great balance in his life of being one of the most famous surfers in the world and also finding quiet time here at home on the North Shore, Shannon.
Yeah, I feel like that really speaks to him being a Hawaiian, that humble attitude of, you know, the locals here, the respect that they show for the ocean, for their fellow surfers, for their family and their community. That's what John embodies, and he really is able to somehow carry that with the fame, with the prestige that goes with his name as well.
So cool. And you think about the turns he's famous for at Margaret River. I mean, you're expecting that same kind of power carve when the waves are this size here at Haleiwa, maybe even a little bit bigger than what we saw yesterday, as we'll be kicking off with the men just in a few minutes to start the Haleiwa Challenger. Quick break as we continue with the Samazon Dawn Patrol. We'll be right back. You're watching the Samazon Dawn Patrol. They call that a honu here in Hawaii, a sea turtle that you can see all in the ocean. They are protected. You want to keep your distance, but you can feel that energy and that mana of the ocean when you see one swim by you. It's always a special moment when you're surfing here on the North Shore. Opening day is on. Joe Turpel, Barton Lynch. He's a world champ. He's also a Haleiwa champ, and that's always special when you look at a long-standing event like this one, where you go back to the Dick Brewer Championships in '64. That was the very first event they've ever had on the North Shore. To see what it's turned into today. The event's taken on different meaning, from world title points to qualification points to even specialty events. And I know the women are so thankful to be back. It's been since 2010 since the best women in the world were competing at this venue.
Wow, it's fantastic to see. This is a perfect canvas for all as we look at the winners there, Joey. Some great names to see there in 85 and 92, Jodie Cooper, big wave charger from Western Australia.
Yeah, it's so cool to see Maria Tita Tavares as well.
Yeah.
She was feisty, always going for it, and always charging, just like Melanie Redmond-Carr, also from West Oz. More recently, the Carissa Moore, Stephanie Gilmore stories. Carissa, one of the youngest to win an event on the North Shore. She was just 16 years of age when she accomplished that win. Lane Beachley was in that final in 2008, a bit of a changing of the guard as Lane's about 20 years older than Riss. Coco was in there, and then when it disappeared, I mean, especially for Carissa, for the Cocos out there, that was a bit heartbreaking for them. They're so happy that it's back. Riss and Coco still in the draw here in 2021. Now flipping it to the men's side, some big names that we're going to see that are all famous for doing one thing, throwing a mean power hook here at Haleiwa.
And you can just look at the names from Sonny Garcia to Andy Irons to Pancho Sullivan, Roy Powers, and then the local boy Joel Centeo in 2009. That was an amazing win, an emotional win here on the beach. I remember that. And then you look at the top and the more current ones, and you think Federico Moraes, Joel Parkinson, Felipe Toledo, John Florence, Wade Carmichael, and keep going. And they've all got that incredible rail carve on the forehand that just suits this wave so well.
And it was really nice that Federico did get that win because the year that John did win, that was actually a tie-break scenario in that 2016 run where Federico was on the wrong side of it. I remember seeing him after, he'd think he'd be devastated, but he was happy. I think he knew something, that he'd end up holding that first place trophy. Almost impossible to beat that forehand hook out there, which will be fun to see who takes this one out. But BL, the back page of that was your 88 win. I know you've had a lot of event wins in your life. Is there anything that reminds you of that road to the podium from way back then at Haleiwa?
Well, that's an interesting year because there was some different events that year, and the Billabong Pro was a mobile event that moved to different locations around the North Shore, so that was a unique situation. Haleiwa is one of those waves that when you look at the Triple Crown, it's not complete without all three. And you can look at Pipeline and go, well, it's the jewel in that crown, so to speak, and Sunset kind of falls in there, just below. And Haleiwa being a more high-performance wave, you kind of, it can seem like the third brother, perhaps, of that Triple Crown. But to the surfers who know this wave and know what it's capable of, it's right up there with with the other two jewels in that Triple Crown.
What about outside competition, BL? What does this wave mean to you?
Oh, it's the best backhand wave. The backhand out here is fantastic. You can get off that bottom, off the top, and it's surprising not to have seen more goofy footers win it, maybe, because it really does suit the backhand.
Yeah, it's great. You think about that local contingent, kind of that same generation of like the Sean Moody, Freddie Pataccia Jr., and they've done quite well out here for a long time, and that's what you love about a wave. It's versatile. Backhanders love it, just like the frontsiders as well.
And when it's small, it turns into a left-hander, which is ironic, and once it gets over that 3 to 4 feet, I would say, it sort of starts to move to the outside and turns into this right-hander. We expected the waves to drop today. They've actually maintained, everything that they had. And this morning, there were broken boards out there. Saw Liam O'Brien get caught by a 12-foot massive big set, snapped his board, and you can see the boys there psyched on the conditions.
So great to check out the heat draw and see some happy faces like we just saw on screen. Alejo Muniz, what an all-star he was, qualified with Julian Wilson, battled with him for Rookie of the Year, went through a couple of severe injuries. I caught up with him early in the year, and he's like, well, I've never stopped training. Even when I'm not on tour, it's like nothing stopped. It wasn't like a transition. He never let go of that idea that he knows he's still one of the best of the world. Can't wait to see him compete today.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I mean, and that's what surfing gives you. It's a lifelong commitment. I remember when I was a kid, people would always say to you, when are you going to grow up and do something serious with your life? When are you going to stop doing that childlike activity? And now we realise that it's a commitment for life being a surfer, and the training and the living of this healthy lifestyle is what it gives you. It gives you a gift, and that is health.
Just over 2 minutes to the start of the event, as there'll be 4-man heats, all men today. Women called off. They'll have another call for tomorrow morning. So we'll be looking at the best from Zeke Lau. We saw Billy Kemper recently in a free surf situation. always loves Haleiwa, always very dangerous out here. He committed to the entire Challenger Series where he didn't see great results, but he always has that confidence that a big wave world champion would have, where he knows a win can completely change that whole story, where he could be in a good spot for next season.
And I think, too, as a big wave world champion or a big wave surfer, you want to be known as an all-round great surfer. So that commitment and dedication to the Challenger Series, anyone who would have that door open to them would take it with both hands and go out to prove that they've got the whole package.
You'd imagine if you're competing against Billy Kemper, you might have to unfollow him because his training is intimidating in itself. You see how focused he is, and it's actually incredibly inspiring to see 100% commitment to his fitness, his mental strategy, and I think he's going to be one of the danger men in this contest for sure.
And you look at Kelly Slater expanding those boundaries of what we thought was possible given age, and then I have to look at Laird Hamilton talk about unfollowing someone because of what the way they exist is so intimidating. You watch the training and the commitment, heading towards your 60s in the back end of, what people would have considered your glory years. It's still right there, and people, surfers in particular, are blowing people's minds as how relevant you can stay and how fit and strong you can maintain your lifestyle.
A very calm view of the scaffolding here. Very small setup here. A nice, clean, and orderly setup. We saw a lot of families down here watching the warm-ups, which just shows you the versatility of this beach and why it's so popular among the locals. The Elite Beach Park, you see them barbecuing, hanging out in the sunset. There's surfers that are getting their very first wave of their life. And there's also a nice, cool local event that happens in the wintertime where everyone comes out of the woodwork and competes in the Haleiwa International Open. So there's always activity here, a lot of happy smiles. And now turning into the focus of the Heavyweight Challenger Series event here in the World Surf League. First heat with 4 surfers out. Charlie Quivrant, we've got Mihimana Brai, Rio Inaba, and a great story of a local hero, Love Hodel. Oftentimes, Kelly's always the guy who's like, well, the oldest in the draw, Kelly Slater. Not this time. Love takes that as he turned 50 recently. And with all the experience that he has, it'll be really fun to see the veteran out there performing.
Yeah, and he's been doing a lot of coaching. He's always in the water, always surfing. And the coaching keeps you fresh, keeps your mind in the game as well. So great opportunity for Love.
That's super cool. Yeah, Love Hodel. Been doing a lot of coaching with Carissa Moore over at Sunset Beach in the last few weeks. He's out there in the green jersey. Rio Inaba representing Japan. It's been great to watch in this Challenger Series, and also played a heroic role assisting Josh Moniz to get into the beach at Super Tubos in that terrible accident. All reports showing that Josh is healing up quite well as we get a start to the event on the back end. Rio Inaba